Hey, it's Nivex. Well, I tried a lot of Linux distros like Ubuntu and Linux Mint and Kubuntu. Well, to be specific, I used this distro for kinda quite of time. Yeah, well, Ubuntu was first distro I used. After that, Linux Mint, and after that, Kubuntu. Well, I used Kubuntu because of KDE, and I used Linux Mint, XFCE, and the Cinnamon. Well, I liked Cinnamon more because it was kinda look like Windows 10 or 7, and XFCE was like Windows XP. Yeah, Linux Mint is pretty good for a beginner to get to the Linux world. Well, Ubuntu is good also. Most developers use Ubuntu and owned by company. Well, some people don't like it because of snaps and some other things. And Ubuntu use GNOME by default with their custom theme. It kinda close to look like macOS for usability. Yeah, Ubuntu aim for that. Well, okay, I explained these distros because I used them before. And why I choose Debian? Well, because it don't change and it's stable. Well, other are stable, but Debian stay on old software, so that make Debian more stable. Well, to be honest, Debian have downsides, and also those downsides make it good in the same time. Well, like the kernel version don't change. You have to wait the next version for new kernel features, and there is no new features for the desktop. Yeah, it don't change at all. If the Debian version released, that version gonna be same even after end of life. Well, Debian is kinda boring distro because of this. Unlike other distros, the problem with Linux, it get old quickly because the development don't stop on Linux. Unlike Windows, yeah, Windows don't get old quickly, kinda slow. If Windows get end of life, it gonna be still work good with new software for couple of years. But Debian get old quickly, even before end of life of Debian version. Well, if you see Debian 13 released a year ago, and Linux got a lot of new features and changes just in year, and Debian 13 got old quickly just in year. Well, if you want a distro that have new features and changes, use Arch or CachyOS or any Arch-based distro. Well, also there is Fedora. It's not new or it's not old, but in Fedora you don't wait for a long time for new features. Where Debian have another good point why it's my main distro currently. Well, Debian developers test everything, every app to work correctly and without problems. Everything is well tested by Debian developers. Well, when you shut down your PC in Debian, it shut down quickly, but in Windows and other distros I used, they take kinda little time to shut down, and that's why Debian is good, because the developers tested that. Well, let's talk about the desktop environment I use, and it's KDE. Why? Because it's close to Windows, and I came from Windows, that's the reason. And also KDE has a lot of good features that I like. Yeah, KDE is pretty good, definitely I recommend KDE for Debian. And the good thing about Debian, you can use whatever desktop environment you want to use. Well, I guess that's enough for this video. So like and subscribe and see you later.